Hey guys, so in this lesson we're going to be looking at some eighth note rock and pop beats. This is a beginner's lesson, so the idea of this lesson is to look at some eighth note bass drum variations to kind of increase your groove vocabulary. So with that, let's get into it. So all of these exercises are going to be playing eighth notes in your lead hand. So in my case, that's going to be my right hand on the hi-hat. So that's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Every exercise is going to have a snare drum on beats 2 and beats 4 called a backbeat. So that's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. When you put the hands together, it's going to sound like this. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. So every exercise is going to be the same. They're all going to have exactly the same hand pattern. So let's have a look at exercise number 1. Okay, first exercise. Bass drum is going to be on the count of 1 and the count of 3. So in eighth notes, it's going to be like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. On the bass drum, it's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's play this underneath the hi-hats now. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now let's add the snare drum. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 a little bit faster. 3 and 4 and. Okay, exercise number 2. We have a bass drum on beat 1 and also the 3 count and the and of 3. So that's going to sound like this if we clap it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's hear what that sounds like on the bass drum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's add this underneath the hats. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and. Let's add the snare drum. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 1 and. Let's increase the tempo. 3 and 4 and. Exercise number 3, the bass drum falls on the 1 and also the 3 and. So that's going to sound like this if we clap it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's hear what that sounds like on the bass drum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's put that underneath our hats. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 4 and. Let's add the snare drum. 3 and 4 and. A little bit faster. 3 and 4 and. Okay, exercise number 4. We've got a bass drum on beat 1, and then we've got a bass drum on the end of 2 and also beat 3. So that's going to sound like this if we clap it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. On the bass drum, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's put that underneath the hats. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's add the snare drum. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 a little bit faster. 3 and 4 and. Okay, exercise number 5. We've got a bass drum on beat 1. We've got a bass drum in the end of 2, and we've got a bass drum in the end of 3. So this time, the first time, we do not have a bass drum on the beat on beat 3, count 3. So that's going to sound like this if we clap it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. On the bass drum, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's hear what that sounds like under the hats. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's add the snare drum. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 a little bit faster. 3 and 4 and. Okay, exercise number 6. This time we're going to put the bass drum on all of the quarter notes. So the count of 1, 2, 3, 4. This is also known as or referred to as 4 to the floor. So if we were to count this, it's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If we were to play on the bass drum, it would go like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and. Let's put this underneath the hats. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4. Let's add the snare drum. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 Let's increase the tempo. 3 and 4 and. Okay, exercise number 7. We have a bass drum on beat 1 and we have a bass drum on the end of 3. So that's going to sound like this if we clap it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. On the bass drum it's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, let's play this underneath the hats. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's add the snare drum. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 3 and 1. Okay, a little bit faster. 3 and 4 and. Okay, so exercise number 8, we have a bass drum on 1 and the and of 1. We also have a bass drum on the and of 3. So if we clapped it, it sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If we played it on the bass drum, it would sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, let's play underneath the hats. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's add the snare drum. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 3 and. Let's speed it up. 3 and 4 and. Okay, exercise number 9. We have a bass drum on beat 1. We have a bass drum on the and of 3 again. And now we have a bass drum on the and of 4. Now what this is going to do is, when we go into our second bar, you've got a double that kind of crosses over the bar from bar 1 into bar 2. So let me demonstrate this with the clapping so it makes more sense. So we're now going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So you can see that last double on and 1. It crosses over from the previous bar into the next bar. This is what it sounds like on the bass drum. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Let's hear what that sounds like underneath the hats. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Let's add the snare drum. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 3 and. Let's speed it up. 3 and 4 and. Okay, last exercise. So we have a bass drum on beat 1, and then we have 3 bass drums in a row on the and of 2, 3, and the and of 3. So if I was to clap that, it would sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Bass drum would sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's play that underneath the hi-hats. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 3 and 4 and. Let's add the snare drum. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. Let's speed it up. 3 and 4 and. Okay, so there we have it. I've just demonstrated 10 different ways or 10 different exercises where you can vary up your bass drum to make different rock and pop beats. One other suggestion would be to take your lead hand, so in my case it's the right hand,
And instead of just playing the hi-hat, you can now take that to the ride cymbal or the floor tom or even the crash cymbal and go through all of those exercises that I've just demonstrated and just create this. It's the same pattern, but you're creating a very different sound and a different feel. And with that, that becomes very useful in music because often, we don't just want to be playing the hi-hat. For example, in a verse section, we might play the hi-hat, and in the chorus section, we might play the ride cymbal, or in a bridge section, we might play the floor tom. So it's not always necessarily the pattern itself that's going to change, but it might be the sound source that we choose to change, because that adds the different kind of feel or the vibe that we want for the music. So I strongly suggest that you reorchestrate those same exercises that I've just demonstrated. And that is it, guys. Hope you found that useful. Enjoy, have fun, and good luck.